Hi, I'm Aimée from My Knitting Realm, and welcome to my knitting podcast. I've been wanting to do a knitting podcast and a knitting YouTube channel for a while now, and I keep talking myself out of it, so I've decided I'm just going to go for it, and this is a healthy way to talk about knitting, which I do all day long to my family members who really don't want to hear it. So this is hopefully a healthier way to do it. So yeah, let's get started. I think I'm going to do a normal format of finished objects, works in progress, and then acquisitions / miscellaneous / things I've been enjoying at the end. So to start off with finished objects, the first finished object I have is this guy. This is the Ember baby dress. It's available, the pattern is available on Ravelry and on Etsy, I think. I'll link it below. But yeah, so this is a super quick, easy knit I did in the midst of sort of my larger works in progress, which is what I've been doing when I need to break something up. My cousin had a baby girl and I wanted to make something for her. Super easy, super fun, quick. I used stash yarn. This was a DK weight yarn, and I have my Ravelry page open because I cannot remember these yarns. This was Sweet Tea Yarns, twist sock yarn in cozy. So, no, sorry, in colorway cozy. Okay, I thought it was colorway pink, but no, it's cozy. It's a tweed sock yarn, DK weight, that I've had for a while. Haven't really used it for anything else. So yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think this is my first baby. I think this might be my first knitted baby object, actually. This is a back, and it has an I-cord waistband, and it was seamed together, so it wasn't knit in the round, which I now realize why I love knitting in the round so much. Seaming is totally fine, but it can get tedious, can't it? So I think for larger objects, that's why I kind of stick to knitting in the round. It worked out. It was fast. It was a baby thing. It was fun. But for larger, like, sweaters, I definitely avoid seaming for sure. So yeah, that is finished object number 1. Pretty happy with how that turned out. And then finished object number 2 I don't have on me right now, and that is because I gifted it already. So it was, I made the Squall Slippers. If you can hear the background, that's my brother gaming. From Lindsey Fowler's new book, Salt and Timber, which is going to be in my acquisitions as well for this month. And the slippers are here somewhere. Okay. I think this picture is available on Ravelry, so I can show it. But they're called the Squall Slippers. It's made with worsted weight yarn. So I was going to make 2 pairs, so I got enough yarn in the same colorway for 2 pairs. I wanted to make a pair for my friend and a pair for myself. It's January 2nd now, and it was chilly in December, so we were talking about how our feet are always cold because we're grandmas like that. So I decided to make her and myself a matching pair of slippers. That was the intention. I knit up hers, gifted them, and then I never really got around to mine. And the reason is because the yarn she suggests in the book is a lighter worsted weight yarn, and I ended up using a slightly thicker worsted weight yarn. So knitting the body, because for the body of the foot she uses the yarn held double, because it was so thick and it was a bit of a slog on the smaller needles. So after I was done, I kind of needed a break from them. But I really liked the construction of the cuff, and I really liked the way they turned out, and I liked the way they fit, and overall a fun knit. I would definitely make them again, just with this lighter weight worsted yarn, I think. So yeah, that was my second knit, and I still have the yarn. It's this green yarn. This is the one I used. I don't know if you guys can see. So for the second pair, I don't think I'm going to use that yarn. I'm probably going to turn that into something else. I was thinking a cowl, actually, for my sister who lives in Ohio, which is a frozen tundra a lot of the winter, so maybe I'll make that. But yes, so that was my finished object number 2. And then I think that's it for finished objects. I have more ongoing whips and like larger projects, so I sort of break it up here and there with smaller projects, but most of my stuff is ongoing, so we can switch to that. So my first whip is in this Nebian Aimée bag that I got recently. It's cute. I saw it at my local yarn store and I kind of just grabbed it. But the whip is, drum roll please, this guy. So this is the Billy Pullover by Sari Nordunland, I believe. It's a beautiful design. She has stunning cable patterns. So I really wanted to make a cable pullover, sort of inspired by the Knives Out sweater. I know I'm way late to the game, but I was really in the mood for a cabled sweater, and I'm making this for my brother, so I chose hers. I really like the pattern. Because it's for my brother, I definitely had to, it's taking a little bit longer. Obviously he's taller. I had to increase the yoke a lot past her suggestion, because by the time when she suggested we separate for sleeves, at that point I tried it on my brother. I blocked it as well because I was like, I really need to be careful here. I blocked it, tried it on him, and it was way short. I'm talking like 2 to 3 inches short. So I went on in pattern without increasing for the raglan. Also, she has these really gorgeous cables on the raglan increases as well. So I went on in pattern for, I want to say like 24 rows extra without increasing. Tried it on him again. It looked right, and then I separated for sleeves. So yeah, it's going well. I'm using the suggested yarn, which is 220 Superwash Merino by Cascade Yarns. It's superwash. It's a nice yarn. It's going well. I need to finish the neckband, and then I think this is going to be my big, hopefully, push of January. Like, my goal is to finish this by end of month. Now that I've separated for sleeves, that seems slightly more doable as well. I think up until then I was juggling a few cable patterns, but now it's pretty smooth sailing, and yeah, really happy with it. Love the color, and hopefully we'll be finishing this soon. So that is whip number 1, and then work in progress number 2 is, I'll go with this guy. I just want to take a moment to appreciate my yarn bowl, which is so stunning. I don't even know where it's from because it was a gift. I just love it so much. Every time I look at it, it makes me happy. But I'm knitting a hat. This is the Pearl Soho Classic Ribbed Hat, which is a free pattern. I've been wanting to make it for a while, and then as soon as the December chill came in, I just wanted to make hats. Like, I just wanted to make hats. So I cast this guy on, I think this week. So it's just 1x1 rib. It's going pretty fast, pretty smooth sailing. I'm using another stash yarn. This is Crimson Coat Turn, which is a fingering weight yarn. So the project does call for a DK yarn, but I think people have made it with all kinds of yarns. You can kind of fudge it a little bit. It's a hat. This is a fingering weight yarn, but it blooms a ton. So instead of making an adult medium, I'm making an adult small, and it looks about right. I can fold it up as well. That's how I'm sort of gauging when I want to stop, because I want it to have a thicker brim. That's kind of thin brim, but you get the point. If this turns out well, which I hope it does, I have another Crimson Coat Turn, so I'll probably make another one for my sister. And this wool is really, really cool. It's 75% wool, 25% silk. So I've had it in my stash. I got it for the Oslo hat, but the Oslo hat requires 2 strands of light fingering, and these are not light fingering. So when I was holding the 2 together, it was like such a thick, bulky hat, and it was a slog with the needle size. So I kind of just tabled it for later. So I'm going to make the Oslo hat still for future. I do have plans, but I'm going to use a different yarn. So this is now becoming 2 separate hats on its own. So yeah, really happy with that. That should be done hopefully soon. And then work in progress number 3 Work in progress number 3 is in here. It is a shawl. And this is the Bioshawl. I don't recall who it's by. I will link it below. I'll add a picture as well from Ravelry. It's going well. This is just my like easy, fun, mindless knit. I think it requires like this repeat pattern of like plain stockinette and then the stripe. It requires like 7 of those, and I've done 3, so it needs 4 more. So I've got a ways to go. But it's just a fun, easy TV knit. It's not like the sari pullover is not a TV knit. It's not complicated, but it's not like mindless knitting either. This is. I sort of go between the two depending on the mood I'm in. And it's making the most beautiful fabric. It's mohair and this guy, which is, I will find out because I don't know. 48% silk, 36% wool, 16% cashmere goat. And this is Shibu Knits Pebble. So that's what this is in ivory, and in suit is the blue. So yeah, 4 more repeats, and then I just have to do the outer corner. So I don't expect to wrap this up soon. It's not something I'm hustling to get done. I sort of want to get the sweater off my needles before this, so this can wait. It's a fun knit. Whenever I have time, I kind of go to it. So that is work in progress number 3. And then work in progress number 4 is slightly more boring, annoying one to me. I decided to cast on the Ruffle Romper by, I think it's by Knitting for Olive, or it's published in Knitting for Olive. And it's a really cute dress, and I'm using 100% cotton yarn by Sandnes Garn, I believe. And so I cast it on, and it's a pretty easy, fun knit. But I ran out of yarn, or I was playing yarn chicken. I knew I was going to run out of yarn. So I decided to sort of do the increases faster and sort of wrap up. So I did the border, and it was just a weird shape. Because I didn't have enough yarn, it was going too triangular. So it just annoyed me. And then what I ended up doing was I ended up ripping it back, because I was like, I was going to gift it to my cousin's daughter as well. I was like, that doesn't look right. I didn't want to gift it. So I sort of ripped it back, and then I was just annoyed by it. I don't know why. I think it's because I wasn't enjoying knitting with cotton for some reason. I'm wondering also if that'll be more fun in the summer. Right now I'm just not wanting to knit on it. So I ripped it back a bit, and then I just stopped, and I thought, I'm going to table this. I'm going to come back to this. I think I'll probably end up buying another skein and just finishing it properly, because if I'm going to make it, I want to make it right. So yeah, I didn't love knitting with 100% cotton is what I realized, but I don't know if it's just because of the season, like it was really wintry when I was making it, or if it's just because it's only cotton and it doesn't have anything else in it, and so the cotton itself is not, it's like not lofty, there's not like any fibers to it besides, I mean obviously there's fibers to it, but it's just, I wasn't feeling it. So I'm gonna table this guy. I don't think I'm gonna go back to it for a bit. I'll revisit this much later, and gift it to whoever needs it at the time. So those are my works in progress. Moving on to acquisitions. This is the only yarn I got because I'm not necessarily on a yarn ban, but I'm trying to be more conscientious of how much yarn I do own, because it's growing. So I'm just, and it's all stunning. It's mostly sock yarn because I love knitting socks. So I'm like, okay, slow down a little bit. But this is the yarn I got. This is Barn Owl Fibers. Actually, I don't know. Oh, sorry, Night Owl Fibers. Self-striping sock yarn in Gum Would Be Perfection, which is a Friends reference, I believe. So she was having a trunk show at my local yarn store, and a lot of the ladies from my knit night got a skein, and we're gonna do a sock cal in January. So she had actually done swatches of all of her self-striping yarn, which was super cool to see how the stripes would play out, and I just loved this colorway. And I actually already have some stash yarn that is very similar to this maroon, so I thought I would pair it for the toes and maybe the cuff. So yes, so that will be my upcoming project and my acquisition of December. And then that was the only yarn acquisition I had, but I have some others as well. The one I mentioned earlier, which is Salt and Timber by Lindsey Fowler, this book, I saw it at my local yarn store, and it's just, I grew up in Portland, Oregon, so I'm from the Pacific Northwest, and she is as well, and she has some beautiful photography in here, and I flipped it open, and I think most of these patterns I would make. Excuse me. So usually when I look at a book, I'm like, I don't know how many patterns I would make, but this is just such a beautiful book, so I'm really excited about it. I already made the slippers, and yeah, hopefully we'll be making the shawl in it soon, which is called the Bowline Wrap, I believe. This one. I actually bought the book because I saw this page, and I just love the shawl so much. So that's after I finish the Bioshawl, this is gonna be my next shawl cast on. So that is acquisition number 2. And then one other thing I got, there was a new local yarn store that opened about 40 minutes away, which is not that much of a drive in Dallas. We're in Texas. So I went, and she had some stunning things, including these. I want to make sure I'm showing them correctly. I don't know that I am, but I put them on a DPN. These stitch markers that are socks, I just think they're so incredibly adorable. There's 12 of them, 2 of each color, and they're so cute. And I don't know who they're by, but I will put that on the screen. So I got those, and then I also got some TKB cords, which stands for the Knitting Barber, which is the company cords, which are just a way to hold stitches instead of using waste yarn. And I usually use waste yarn, but with the sari pullover and with sweaters, I find it quite tedious, and I was trying it on my brother a few times, and I realized like using waste yarn and a needle every single time was becoming annoying, so I actually drove down to grab these, and I'm using it for the sleeves currently, so that was a good purchase for me. And then, last but certainly not least from that purchase, was something that I am incredibly excited about, which is the 52 Weeks of Socks book. I've been debating getting this for a while because I love knitting socks so much, and I even had it in my cart online, but I hadn't seen it in local yarn stores, so I've sort of been talking myself out of it. But when I went down, she had ordered a bunch of them, and I just could not resist. So I'm just so happy about this. Like, I have plans. I plan to knit quite a few of the socks. So very excited about this purchase. And then I have one final purchase. So my final purchase of December is, I'm realizing now it's quite book heavy, which is odd because usually it's yarn heavy, but this month is all about the books. I got worsted from a local yarn store. This is a collection of knitwear curated by the knitter behind La Bien Aimée, the yarn brand. And all of the projects are made with worsted weight yarn, which I thought was very interesting because, well, obviously, by the way, the name is worsted, but it was interesting for me because I don't normally knit with worsted weight yarn. I'm usually a fingering / DK weight for the most part. So I thought it might be an interesting, fun way to try out some projects with worsted weight yarn. And she has some fun ones. She has 1 or 2 that I am looking forward to casting on. So yeah, that is my final purchase of December. So I think that is all knitting related things. Aside from that, miscellaneous, I think that's all my knitting related stuff. Aside from that, I've had some holiday break from work, so I've been reading a little bit. I don't read as much during the work week because, as much as I used to, because I'm either knitting or chilling with the family or working. You know, like knitting and reading are difficult. So I've been trying to do more Audible books, so that's something I'm getting into. I just finished The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary. I have mixed feelings. Beth O'Leary wrote The Flat Share, which I absolutely love. It's a romance book. I absolutely loved that, but not as thrilled with this book. But anyways, that's a different topic, but her writing is beautiful anyways. So yeah, that was what I've been reading. So that's it for my podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.